Yeah, hello. I want to talk about the current book I'm writing, The Soft Fortress: How Modern Bureaucracy Became Organized Crime, a tale of lies, absolution, and the theologian who couldn't find sin. So, this is a story about my last year experience with the tax office, the inheritance office, and a lot of governmental institution like the finance department, um, Ombudsstelle as so called, and so on, which I had last year. And I would argue the system isn't broken. The system is it as it is by design. And the concept of the book is that the whole system is built like a fortress, but it's not a fortress by walls. It's a fortress with uh, with which is built like a labyrinth and which you get thrown like with endless tasks that you never which exhaust you that you never arrive at the point to achieve anything. And so the thing is, like my father, he died in January 2024, and I then tried to get all the paperwork done for the inheritance, etc. And my father still had a positive balance of like 8,000 Swiss franc with the Basel tax office. And I live in Thailand. I have my family there. If you watch my other YouTube videos, and I then came to Switzerland, and I was trying to organize while my brother was on work all day. And yeah, then they said to me like, yeah, we'll be finished until the end of the year. And so I went back to Thailand and came back to Switzerland in January this year. And I thought the thing will be done just a few days or few weeks. I can finish all the inheritance and can then go back to my family. But at the end, I stayed here for multiple months and trying to get this thing done, and it was just um, really horrible. So what happened? So when I arrived back in Switzerland in January. Um, I called the tax office and there was a woman picking up the phone, like her name was Muriel Ries. And she said, so, "Oh yeah, everything is done. I will send it on Monday to the inheritance office." So the process is like this: the inheritance office won't proceed with the inheritance until the tax office have finished all the tax. If there are still tax obligation or whatever, they want to have it done before they uh, process the inheritance. So until this is not finished, I cannot get my money or whatever. And then I thought, okay, if she's gonna to send it on Monday, I just wait until Wednesday, then it will be arrived in the inheritance office, and I will check with them how long it will take from there, and then it can be done at a point. And then I wrote an email to them. So, did you receive from the tax office all required information and how long it will take now from this point? And they said they didn't got anything. So I called again to the inheritance office, and they there also Muriel Reese was picking up the phone again, and she said, "Ah, she will send it in the next Rahmungslauf," which I even don't know what what this should mean. I can check a Duden, or I don't know what this word means at all. So she said in 3 4 days she will send it, And then I thought, okay, yeah. First she said she will gonna send it on Monday. Next time I call, she gonna say send it in 3 or 4 day. It's like the first time they said they will be finished until end of 2024, which this deadline they also not kept. It was already January or February. Um, yeah, I think even February where I had this call. I have to check my documentation. And then I thought already, but I was still not angry, still everything fine, okay, things can happen, yeah. And then she called me back and said, yeah, no, she can send it. It's now in another department. Somebody else from the special service have to check the text because there was something strange about it. And then I start to get be pissed already because it's this was like the third deadline they didn't keep. So first they said to me, by end of the year it will be finished. Then she said she will send it on Monday, and then she said she will send it on three, and then she said it's in other office. I start to get annoyed. I don't want to call there all the time and ask. I want to get this thing done. Because I don't get paid for the time I follow up with tax offices. I don't get paid for it. But the bureaucrats in the were sitting in the office, they get paid for the time. So they give a shit how many times I call. So then I wrote like an email to clarify how it looks like, and also I start to complaining. I said, hey, I get multiple times. I get like um, different deadlines, and they don't keep their promises, and I really don't like that. And the email didn't get any response to it. Same, I don't know. Don't care. It's just ended up in the void. And then I called them, and this was like a supervisor of the special services in the tax office or something like this. And um, yeah, was asking what is now about the text of my deceased father and how is it going on, how long it will take. And I started to complain. Hey, I said I got now multiple times like deadlines. It will be finished until then. It will be finished until then, and nothing is done. And he said only like, oh, we have personal shortages and uh, we we can't handle this. And it, it's it's one of the most stupid answers. So if you have like stuff who's lying to you and don't keep their deadlines, they generating more work. So the argument that you have personal shortages makes totally no sense at all. If they would have personal no, if they would make everything correct, like say, okay, until then is finished and follow up and follow their processes, and they have personal shortage, it makes sense. But when they give false promises all the time, they generate more work. They make me call more, mean they have to spend more time on the phone, means I follow up with emails, means they have need more time to respond to the emails. So personal shortages makes no sense. It's their processes or how their employees or their bureaucrats work in their offices. That's the issue, and not personal shortages. And he not addressed at all like, okay, we sorry for the wrong information or whatever, or the hassle you get, or nothing. Just we have personal shortages. And yeah, from there it just started. So it's a long story. From there it just started, but there I start to get into the the complaint and really discovering how the institution works and how they protect each other from or how the bureaucrats protect each other from nothing gets actually resolved or discovered or whatever. And that's the book about. So there are a lot of steps and escalations coming after this initial complaint. And I'm really I'm really I would say devastated. I thought like a system is to serve the citizen, or like maybe sometime you think just that the system is failing, but the system isn't failing, or the system also doesn't serve the citizen. It's just by design like this. It's designed that it exhausted you. You write a complaint, you don't get an answer. You follow up, you get a wrong answer, you have to follow up again. At one point, you are exhausted and you just give up and say, okay, it makes anyway no sense to complain. And that's actually how the system is built, like with layers, like defending walls. Is like you storming a castle, and you just can't get over the castle wall to actually fight them. That's how the system is built, just to exhaust you. And for me, this is have nothing to do with justice or with right or with anything. At the end they hide behind the laws they created. So the laws they created is not for any kind of justice. It's just that they can hide behind it and don't have to have any accountability or whatsoever. It's just like constructed like this, that the citizen pay its taxes and shut the fuck up and keep on working. That's all about. And if you want to fight to get some rights, no, you will realize there is no chance in achieving anything. You will have no chance to hold the lords, or the bureaucratical lords accountable. There's just but or let's say not accountable within their system they created, because the system is protecting them, and the only purpose they serve is to protect their system, and not to serve the citizen. And yeah, I start to write the book already, and I have like the first chapter is more or less finished. So the title is The Soft Fortress, because like the analogy, that it's like a fortress. You try to fight against the fortress, but there's one defending wall after the other. And how modern bureaucracy became the organized crime. So organized crime, because they really hide behind their own created laws. So it's like they really can. There is no accountability at all. And the tale of lies, absolution, and the theologian who couldn't find sin. So the subtitle is at the end. Quite the last stage was like the Ombudsstelle, which did an investigation into the matter. And the head of the Ombudsstelle originally studied theology. And yeah, that maybe I wrote then interesting email where I said like nobody could prove the existence of God, so he also couldn't find any any mistake at all. So it's like perfect to protect the system, because he will not find any error. It's like placed because he's not supposed to find anything. He's just supposed to be there to protect the system and give absolution to it. Bureaucrat workers, everything is fine and good and keep on. And so maybe I gonna read from the first chapter, and maybe somebody want to listen how it goes on. So part one, the promise of the castle. The system as it claims to be versus what it actually is. Chapter one, death and taxes. My father died in January 13th, 2024. Roger Helfer-Sommer, 71 years old, died in Basel while I was 8,000 kilometers away, living abroad as I have for years. My brother handled the funeral, the immediate notifications, the first bureaucratic necessities. I felt no need to rush back. Some deaths demand grief, others merely demand paperwork. By May 2024, I was in Switzerland, not for mourning, but for administration. Death brings its own bureaucracy. And even for those of us who feel no loss, there are still forms to fill, authorities to notify, accounts to close. The Swiss state doesn't care about your relationship with the deceased. It only cares about taxes are paid, procedures followed, boxes checked. This wasn't my first encounter with the soft fortress of Swiss bureaucracy. I had already written Switzerland's Economic Secret, the hidden crisis of the unemployed, a documentation of bureaucratic indifference, statistical manipulation, and economic exclusion. I knew the system's capacity for cruelty distinguished as procedure, but even with that experience, I believed that death and taxes, those two certainties, would be handled with the efficiency Switzerland advertised to the world. In October 2024, still in Switzerland, I called the cantonal tax administration in Basel-Stadt to fill the tax declaration for the deceased. A man assured me with that particular Swiss-German efficiency that makes even lies sounds organized. Tax matter will be finalized by the end of the year. This was October. By the end of the year meant 2 months. I could return to Thailand and come back in January to handle the inheritance distribution with my brother. The Swiss system, the soft fortress of rules and procedures, had given its word. I flew back to Thailand in November 2024, believing the matter settled. The cantonal tax administration had promised. In Switzerland, institutional promise still meant something, or so I thought, despite everything I've already documented about unemployed citizens being statistically erased, economically excluded, and bureaucratically disappeared. This metaphor that would later define this book hadn't occurred to me yet. The medieval justice where hats on pikes warned potential traitors. The Catholic Church granting absolution without requiring confession. Organized crime running protection rackets with perfect legal cover. In November 2024, leaving Switzerland, I was just the son of a dead man. I didn't mourn, trusting that even a system I knew to be cruel would at least be efficiently cruel. February 2025. I returned to Switzerland over a month after the promised December deadline for the tax finalization. The state should have been ready for distribution. Instead, I would make a phone call that would begin an investigation into something far darker than bureaucratic inefficiency. February 14, 2024. The date is burned into my documentation. My first direct contact with Muriel Rees from the tax administration. Her voice carried that familiar tone, helpful, professional, competent. The voice of the soft fortress, welcoming you with promises it has no intention of keeping. The documents will be sent to the inheritance office by Monday, February 17, she assured me. 3 days. Specific, concrete, documented. This was the first lie I could prove. The inheritance office would later confirm in writing no documents were received. Not on February 17th, not on February 18th, not ever. But Frau Ries didn't know I would verify her claims. Didn't know I had learned from my previous battles with Swiss bureaucracy to document everything, to create paper trails where none existed, to force the fortress to reveal its mechanism. This is the genius of modern bureaucratic crime. It assumes citizens won't check, won't verify, won't document. It operates on principle that exhaustion will triumph over justice, that the sheer tedium of fighting the system will defeat most people before they can expose its crimes. The fortress doesn't need high walls when it can exhaust invaders with endless corridors. But I had already written one book about Swiss institutional failure. I knew their tactics. What they didn't know was that I was about to uncover something far more sinister than inefficiency or indifference. I was about to document an actual criminal enterprise, operating not despite the law, but through it, protected not by stone walls, but by something far more impenetrable, the systematic agreement to never hold each other accountable. The 8,000 Swiss francs the canton owed the estate, a tax refund that should have been simple to process, would become the threat when pulled would unravel the entire fabric of bureaucratic legitimacy. But this story isn't about money. It's about the revelation that modern democracy created achievement isn't transparency or accountability, but the perfection of plausible deniability. Every lie I was about to hear about here would be plausible. Every day delay would have an excuse. Every failure would be someone else's responsibility. The fortress would protect its own with the dedication of a medieval court protecting its nobles. And it would be left outside the walls, holding documents that proved crimes no one would prosecute. The castle, as Kafka knew, has many rooms, but Kafka's castle was merely incomprehensible. Ours is criminal. Each room contains not just a lie, but a liar. Not just a delay, but a deliberate obstruction. Not just incompetence, but conspiracy. This book is my attempt to ensure that the soft fortress is exposed for what it is, that the criminals wearing bureaucratic badges are named, and that the medieval justice of public exposure, the digital guillotine of our age, finally holds them accountable. My father is dead. I owe him nothing, not even grief. But his death revealed a truth the world needs to hear. The system the Swiss trust to handle their most basic interactions with the state has become a criminal enterprise. Not metaphorically, but not hypocritically, but actually. Let me show you the proof, one document lie at a time. It begins with a promise. The documents will be sent by Monday. It ends with a theological ombudsman explaining why lies don't require absolution when the system itself have become the church. Welcome to the soft fortress. Check your trust at the gate. So this was the first chapter and the instruction. I'm not actually so good at reading and make sometimes mistakes, but I give my best. Maybe I can also improve over time when I keep continue doing this. So um, yeah, I for everybody who watching this, thank you for watching, and I will keep on writing the book, and maybe next time I will read out the next chapter and go from there. So thanks for watching, like, subscribe, and have a nice day. Bye.